Niles, pardon me. Did we have some connection?
I've got you, Lois.
Thank
Freely?
you. I'm not.
Present via Zoom, Baroda Township.
Havlicek,
Present via Zoom, City of St. Joe.
Hugel,
Present via phone, St. Joe.
Krieger,
Don't see him.
don't see him. Lammert,
Present via Zoom, Benton Township, Benton Harbor Township.
Lester is absent. Mosier is absent. Schooneman,
Present via Zoom, St. Joe Township, Michigan.
back from Arizona.
Yeah.
And Van Genhoven
Present via Zoom from Lincoln Charter Township.
and Wood.
Hey, I'm here,
Oh, there you are.
present via Zoom, City of New Buffalo.
Okay,
All right, we have, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 present.
great. Next on the agenda is the approval of the March 2021 minutes. Are there any changes, additions, deletions from anyone?
I move to accept the minutes from our past meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. We have a roll call.
Foster,
Yes.
Freely,
Yes.
Havlicek,
Yes.
Hugel, you're on mute right now, Chris. Okay, we will skip him. And Krieger, I see you've joined us. You're on mute right now. If you could unmute for me. We're doing roll call to accept the minutes. Or you can do a thumbs up if you're having troubles with the
There we
audio.
go. I got it.
So you're a yes?
I'm a yes.
Okay. Lammert,
Yes.
Lester is absent. Mosier is absent. Schooneman,
Yes.
Van Genhoven,
Yes.
Wood is
Yes,
okay. So we have 7 yeas
Okay.
and then 1 audio issue with Hugel.
Okay. Next on the agenda is communications. Do we have any communications?
Yes, I apologize. I didn't include this because I think it just came in yesterday. We received a communication from the City of Coloma that they are hosting their public hearing for adoption of their master plan. So we did review their plan several months ago, and they're at that point where they're ready to adopt it now. I can also share with you, it's more relevant to our master plan or our new business agenda item under the master plan for item B2 for Berrien County. We won't unfortunately be reviewing those in detail today because there was the bid that was received late, not by any fault of the bidder, but the mail service or the mail carrier. So the request has been to the Finance Committee to open that bid this week as well. So there were 2, as hopefully this Thursday when the Finance Committee opens up the second bid, there'll be 2 respondents. So in light of that, we would like to, this was just an unfortunate circumstance of mail being, mail delivery wasn't received. The vendor sent it so that it would arrive. on the date it was due. So the day before the bids were open, but it didn't arrive till the day after the bids were open. So.
Katie, what is that date for the Coloma open meeting for the approval of their master plan?
I'll send it to you if that's okay. I'll send it to you in email.
Sure.
I don't have the date. I don't have the actual document in
Okay.
my hand, but I can probably retrieve that maybe even while we're meeting, so I can address that shortly.
you.
And that's all I have for communications at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comment?
You do not. I've checked a couple of times. There's no public comments for you guys.
Okay. Next on the agenda is we have old business under bylaws.
Yes, we still are waiting for just a final clarification on some of the other questions we posed to the attorney, but we did get a response with regards to probably the more specific concern regarding the ex officio definition, and it has been determined that that Terry is a voting member and as the ex officio. So she will be voting on all matters, which I believe she has been. So we've been in concurrence with the Planning Enabling Acts. So that is that has been addressed by corporate counsel. The other two items, if you recall, one was in reference to our ordinance has a more strict guidance for a more strict guidance than the Planning Enabling Acts as far as approving. I'm sorry, my dog is sleeping and making noises. So
What?
there's some chirping of my dog while he's sleeping. So he's having a dream and it's distracting me, so I apologize. So that issue hasn't been addressed. And I'm just still waiting for a clarification if there needs to be anything at this point that we need to take as a planning commission to either address it to our county board of commissioners. And then the other issue, I think we can probably act on as a planning commission. So I'm just kind of waiting. We have a few more comments that will be hopefully getting from council. But more importantly, I think the most pressing one was the ex officio, and we've got that cleared up.
That's great. Congratulations, Terry.
Yes. Glad you can officially join us now.
I love that I can express my vote in that way. So thank you, Katie.
Okay. Next on the agenda is new business. Under APA 116, Baroda Township.
Sure. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you all are seeing let me get to the top of the agenda. So is everyone seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Of just the presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So, so we have a farmland preservation application for the PA 116 program. And I did forward that to you, I think last Friday. So you have the application in its entirety that was presented to the Planning Commission for review. The applicants are Daniel and Norma Nitz, that they have about 19.71 acres on Hollywood Road, which is in Baroda Township. It's just south of Hinchman on Hollywood. And they are requesting to enroll the program for 50 years, which the minimum is 10, the maximum is 99. So they went right in the middle there. They are cultivating grapes, and they are eligible with the program guidelines that although the property acreage is not over 40 acres, it does produce 5,000 per acre of gross income. And it is just on the edge of our prime of the prime farmland. So in the next slide, I'll show you where the location is. The area that's kind of outlined in the turquoise blue is the property of question. It's 19.71 acres. So it's predominantly in an area of lots of farmland. Here's where this is from our current master plan that identifies this as one of our ag priority areas. The area that's where the pointed red arrow is it's showing that it's right there on the edge of that priority area. And that's what I've got for you on that. We just review these and support or not support the request for participation in the program.
I'd like to move that we
Madam
support this
Chairman.
approval.
Support.
Okay. All in favor? Go through the roll call.
Could we have some discussion, Greg, real quick?
Sure.
My only question on this is that does it make sense for us to comment in terms of the duration, because the 50 years is beyond the current scope of our master plan, and given that this was on the edge of the agricultural priority areas, I just wondered if we would be wise to maybe approve with a comment that the period be reduced to 50 years. And this is my first exposure to this, but that's just the thought that occurred to me in going through the information.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I believe that's the protocol. And you can, if things change, there are ways to adjust. But that's a good plan to follow, and then all the apps have to follow that.
I would only add that the minimum is 10 years, and typically once a farmer engages in this program, if they do choose, they can re-up the application for extended years. It's just the demonstration of the 50 years is just demonstrating that they have in fact want to preserve their land or keep it in agricultural farming so that it can be marketable and competitive with the idea of the program. So it does also, with many of other resources or incentives that are available through the state program, like through our PDR program, there are extra points or bonuses for properties that are enrolled in the PA 116. So this is just I think the applicant's demonstration or commitment to farmland and keeping land farming in their area. So I would also note that Baroda Township is not currently participating in the PDR program in itself. They do have, they use some of their zoning techniques and just the capability of what the community is as a fairly rural agricultural township that seem, they have captured or enjoyed the benefits of being instilling their agricultural heritage.
Katie, you speak of the PDR program. This application is for what we call a PA 116 program, and it also helps the farmer, the grower, in planning succession for their farm if they wish. And this program is already set for so many years, and it gives them peace of mind that they have that small detail taken care of in their estate.
Thank you all.
Any other comments or questions on this?
Nothing.
Okay. Sorry, Rod.
Ready for the roll call?
Yes.
Sure.
Foster,
Yes.
Freeling,
Yes.
Havlicek,
Yes.
Hugel,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Lammert,
Yes.
Lester is absent, Mosier is absent, Schooneman,
Yes.
Van Genhoven,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
and we have 9 yeas.
Okay, next on the agenda is the master plan, City of Niles Master Plan Review.
Okay. So I don't know if you were able to access the link that was emailed to you for to be able to review their master plan. It is on their website, and this is the early, I guess there's, the period of allowing public comments. So we're seeing this kind of on the first go, or the beginning stages of that process of the review period. And usually I often like to wait towards the end of the time frame in case we do receive any comments from adjacent communities. But just in light of time and addressing this, I thought I would just kind of hit the highlights of the master plan. It was a complete update, and one thing that I thought that stood out for me, which I liked, I thought it read very easily. It was easy to understand and follow from the standpoint of having content-rich and engaging discussions of what makes the City of Niles unique and stand out. I thought it had that marketability to it to make it feel appealing and attractive for as a tool or a useful product to help sell the city. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting was their creative public input. They did do some online surveys, or they did, outreach through various means. And one was a survey, and they had some stakeholder meetings throughout the process. And they also engaged the high school through a civic involvement of, I think it was the Niles Tech high school students, to understand the purpose of the master plan, and then also participate in discussions and, see where they would put their tax dollars if they were to invest, like what they would prioritize. And it sounded like it was a really great project for the city and the community, and for the high school as well. So I thought that was a really great added piece that also engaged the youth. The main points that, we as a county planning commission, or you all look at from the county perspective, is this master plan consistent with our master plan currently? There was nothing of significant conflict that was pointed out. And also we're in the process of updating ours, so we can certainly make this more complementary to each other. And also if there was any land use conflicts or issues with the surrounding communities, and predominantly Niles is surrounded by Niles Charter Township. It's got it on all sides. One of the main themes, or there was a theme that was kind of presented throughout the various engagement pieces and outreach events that they conducted. I will also say, I think they started this process in 2018, and they're here now. So it's been a long road ahead for them, and I think they're pretty happy about the results. So some of the themes were housing availability, and I'm gonna see if I can you see are you just still seeing the actual presentation?
Yeah, we see the City
Yes.
of Niles Master Plan.
Okay, great. So under their housing availability, they, identified, which is unusual, maybe in just very much in the last maybe 6 months or so, but that housing is affordable in the city. They found that there might be a lack of housing or affordable housing, but overall the median house price is affordable and it can be attainable. What they are wanting to encourage is the missing middle of the housing market and target infill development, and also a variety of housing types. And one of the other elements is that they want to provide a variety of housing that's important for all ages and incomes. So they do recognize making sure that there is opportunities for all. Under their transportation and connectivity, this was an area that seemed to jump out a lot in conversations and in results of surveys and response, is the nature of a city being walkable and having a good network of transportation, either by mobile or non-motorized, motorized or non-motorized. And sidewalks seem to be a big hot topic for many, to do sidewalk improvement to facilitate transportation between residential, retail, and recreational areas. Also, road and sidewalk infrastructure is always going to be on the top list of everyone's immediate need. Everyone uses the resource there. And connectivity between places and walkability encourages community health. So they tried to hit on all of those areas. Under their buildings, they want to create repurposing properties that have been abandoned or underutilized to provide proper repurposing and innovation. Removal of abandoned buildings to improve the streetscape and community character and allow for infill development and mixed use, but also attracting new businesses is important. So reutilizing those empty buildings to make them marketable and sustainable for future businesses. Under the business development, they identified attracting new businesses, encouraging economic viability, and retain young talent. They did put a lot of emphasis on attraction and retaining, making sure there's some incentives to support the businesses that are currently there, new businesses and opportunities. And making sure that there is the proper infrastructure and transportation connectivity for businesses to thrive. Under their zoning and enforcement, here's where they were just recognizing zoning standards can be used to enhance opportunities for housing and business development. And then also on the code enforcement to continue to promote property maintenance. I think they pride themselves in a lot of the programs and resources that they have been able to sustain with their current code enforcement. And then the last part was entertainment and recreation, where they have definitely put a lot of investment in time and resources in improving and recognizing the St. Joe River parks, the areas along the St. Joe River, and providing, the opportunity for new scenic view sheds, as well as potential placemaking. They are also participating in a redevelopment readiness communities. So they have that component as well in their master plan. And then they were, their goals and objectives are pretty broad, but also under the objectives, they have a very clear guidelines to help build the policy for implementation. And on their implementation side of things, they put it together in a fairly simplistic matrix so that they can kind of be, it can be a working plan and allow them to ensure and hit markers along the way for ensuring that they hit their outcomes to, if they need to pivot, they can, and then also make sure they're accountable for doing the implementation of all the work that was put forth. So I will, so this is their future land use map. And in the next slide, I'll just show you a quick comparison of their past future land use map and this one. And they did go into a better explanation of the different future land use categories for low density residential, a traditional residential, a neighborhood mixed use, and then a central business district. And a regional commerce they did add for, I believe this is that South 3rd Street or 11th? Where the darker brown area is, that ties into the commercial corridor within Niles Township. They did tighten up a little more of their industrial area, and then they've identified their civic a little differently in the next map. So here's kind of a side-by-side, just a quick snapshot. Colors are a little different, but very similar. And really the big takeaway of what they're changing here is they've, outside of the definitions of their districts or their land use for residential, they try to allow for more variety of residential. So they recognize that there might be more opportunities instead of just having one type of low density residential throughout the whole entire city. So this is something that's, I think, becoming more aware nationwide as far as having the lens of equity and accessibility for all as it relates to zoning and our land use and what our land can do. So then I also just took their future land use map, put it next side by side to the township. So this is Niles Charter Township's future land use map. And really, if you just look at the outlines of where Niles Township is in proximity to what the surrounding uses are of the city, they're fairly compatible, and there's nothing that really stands out that looks alarmingly of concern for either community. And it seems like one thing that both Niles Township and the city are, they at least in writing, whether that be the case in the public eye, but they seem to try to coordinate and cooperate on many levels, particularly when it comes to recreation and commerce and business, to help drive and create opportunities to be able to retain and provide jobs for their residents. So I don't know if anyone else had a moment to take a look at the plan and have other comments they would like to share. I open that to you all now for discussion.
This is Schoeneman here. The scope of the plan was quite extensive. And I really applaud them for how in-depth they went into, without really not boring you to death on what was going on with the city. It was a great tool that can be used in the future. My question is, now that they have the draft out, how long will this take before this becomes their essential piece of documentation? Does that have to do with the number of open meetings that they have for this?
No. So under the Planning Enabling Acts, when you adopt a master plan, you have so many days. So there is a 63-day comment period.
Okay.
And I believe that they are anticipating doing their public hearing in July. I apologize, I don't have the actual letter in front of me as to when it will be approved, but it might even say on the city's website. So let me check here real quick. Um, so comments on the proposed plans can be made until June 24th by emailing. So I believe that they will be reviewing this or taking this to public, or to having their public hearing in July, and then it will be approved. The next step after it goes to the public hearing is the city commission will approve it. So it should.
Katie,
Yes.
what is, go ahead. What is the planning commission to do about this on this particular date? Are you required to have some kind of comment or approval, or just listening today?
Yeah, no, we can actually make comments on the plan for the city. This is our review under the Michigan Planning Enabling Acts. We are in the time frame of being able to review and make comments. And that is our responsibility that is your responsibility as a planning commission, is to make comments and review of the.
But there is no vote today on the part of the commission. Yay or nay?
On master plans, it's only comments. We provide
Yes, thank you.
comments. We don't vote. It's not really a vote. It's just comments.
Mhm. Well, I agree with you, Katie. I felt it was very comprehensive. And I thought that the input from the various different groups that commented and that they sought input from was more so. I guess I wasn't expecting to see as much of that as I did in this, and it was really refreshing to see that much participation from the community in commenting on the various aspects of this. So I applaud them for the good job they did in getting as many people involved in this as they did.
Van Genhoven here. The other, jumping on what both you, Greg, and Jim said, and you also, Katie, the comprehensiveness. The part that really stood out to me was the development of the objectives and the action items, and putting it into a format that's easy to track what your actions are. So as you're moving towards your goals, you really know who's doing what when.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I thought it was a very well done plan. I commend the city and really I think it's a wonderful reflection of the citizens. It's their plan. It is what they their comments were heard and incorporated into the design. So I think that was really great.
I would echo that.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay. Next on the agenda was the Berrien County review for proposals. I guess we will wait on that until the final proposal is reviewed. So probably by next meeting.
Yes, I think so. And as soon as those are received, if I can just share with you, I am aware of at least the bidder or the consultants. The proposals were submitted by McKenna and Associates and William and Works. So we have two consultants that are familiar with Berrien County and many of its municipalities. So we'll be looking at those proposals at our next meeting. I would also share that in regards to the I'm sorry, I lost my thought. But I will also share that I just recently read an article from the American Planning Association. They have a publication that's called Zoning Practice. And it was a really interesting, similar to, public engagement and outreach. The city of Detroit in 2019 was updating their zoning ordinance, and to better engage the community and neighborhoods, they came up with a very innovative and creative way to get people to understand concepts and open up to ideas, and maybe and in some ways build consensus on changes with their zoning ordinance. And they did it through creating an actual game called Game of Zones, and it entailed an actual board game that had pieces, like 144 parcels were placed on an 8-block neighborhood that had to be developed. And it was with no zoning, just you haphazardly put things where you wanted them. And then you incorporated kind of layers and discussions, and the consultants that were assisting the city to do this really acted as facilitators to just understand why people were doing what they were doing, and discussions on various topics. And it was a real unique, and I mean, I don't know much more. I literally just read the article about 40 minutes before this meeting, and was like, wow, another newer innovative way of really trying to reach out to the community to get them involved. And it was the whole range of ages and experiences of residents. So what was very unique, or some conclusions that they were surprised with, was many of the people who were adamant about like enough parking, if you're going to put, small retail within a neighborhood, that you needed to have enough parking, and very adamant about that. And then as they started to build their little neighborhood, those proponents for the parking ended up not even utilizing any of the parking, and going, just completely changing their perspective. And so it was a very open, flexible process for people to understand concepts that they may have never understood, from a planning perspective, or planning lingo may have been intimidating at one point, and now they're able to understand and truly be a participant of the process. So just another thing I thought I'd share with you.
Okay. I guess next on the agenda is miscellaneous. Do we have any miscellaneous business?
Well, the state was supposed to come out with their findings, I believe, Terry, on the 6th of May, as far as what was going on with the survey to find out about internet within different areas within the state of Michigan. Did you hear anything on that yet?
So the survey for May 6th was for Berrien County from Merritt, that we had worked with that consultant to do. And so, yes, the Board of Commissioners actually received that executive summary. And what the findings were is that there is about 64% of Berrien County currently that does not actually have the true definition of broadband access within Berrien County. Though right now, the FCC's maps that are self-reported claim that we are around 95% with broadband access. So there's quite a bit of discrepancy there. And what we are doing right now is reviewing those executive summary results and figuring out what our next steps are going to be. One of the things that we'd like to do is to have some town hall discussions with those areas that we know are most underserved, and figure out how we can move that peg forward for Berrien County. What I will do is I will send to Jennifer the actual report of the executive summary. And I would encourage any of you that have questions or comments or thoughts to please reach out to me. I'm the representative of the Berrien County Broadband Internet Task Force. And I will take that back to the task force, and we will be coming out with some recommendations to the full Board of Commissioners in the near future. So
I just went through the experience of changing internet providers. And so because of somewhat of an interest on that particular topic, I asked many, many questions from the different suppliers. We used to have AT&T, which when we put it in 6 years ago said, oh, we're going to be putting back some new fiber optic cables in the area and you're going to have high speed internet. Well, when you do a speedset.net, you can do that in your own home. You can find out exactly what your megapixels per second is. And it came out to 1.5. Now, 1.5, you can't even, have a screen going with a computer and watch TV if you're screening. It just zooms out. So I went to AT&T and talked to them. And I said, I called the number first of all, and the guy said, well, yeah, we know we've got a problem there. And I said, well, what's the plan? He says, that's above my pay grade. I don't know what the plan is for AT&T. So I guess my thought is the commissioners, I think, need to take some hammers and start, doing some hard pounding on the suppliers who supply this particular in our county. I mean, this is an extremely important thing, part of infrastructure that needs to take place. So I took it farther. I went to Comcast, got Comcast in. And when I had that put in, they said, well, you can get 200 megapixels, but we've got this plan where you can get 400 megapixels for the same price for a period of time. I said, okay, let's do it. So when the installer came out, we found out that coming in from the pole, it was like 1350 megapixels, a lot. Okay, I said, well, so how do they get that from 1300 down to your house to give you 400 if that's what you're paying for? He said, well, they just flip a switch back at Central Station and boo, you got the 400 megapixels. Okay, well, after we got it hooked up, we checked it out and we actually had like maybe 120 megapixels. Okay, a lot less than 400 that I supposedly am paying for. And then once it got into the house, it was even less than that after a period of time. I'm lucky if I'm getting like 70. That's still plenty for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But my point is, what they're telling us and what the people are actually getting are not the same. And somebody needs to be held accountable. Somebody needs, and that's again above my pay grade, but needs to say to these providers, what the heck are you really selling us? Because what you're selling us is not what we're getting. That's Jim's philosophy and point of view. That's all. But
well, Fred Upton is on the committee in Washington that's supposed to do that.
But we need local.
Should have been doing it for the last 20 years.
Well, Rod, what we do need is we need somebody local. I mean, I understand that Fred's got a big powerful voice.
There was a time when your local community used to have to approve local cable service. I don't know if that's still the case. When I was supervisor, we used to have to do that because you got a local channel that's available, and the reason you do that is because the local unit of government has some kind of sway, some kind of authority, which amounts to nothing really, over your local cable provider. And
Well, the survey just came out that they did in the county.
The state should do something about that. There's one way they could do that. That's one avenue in which they could do that.
Yeah,
So-
well,
So
Go
if
ahead.
I may, if I may, so Rod, the sort of controls for the local municipalities for any type of provider is through the Metro Act, and it's a franchise agreement that they would have to approve. I agree, Jim, that we need to be proactive, that we need to be paying attention to what's sort of happening and what those needs are. I think it became really relevant very quickly to many of us that high-speed internet was more than just a service, but a utility. It's something that we needed for day-to-day operation. And unfortunately, what we went through over the last 14 months has caused that to be very much in the spotlight of why this is so important. But I do think that what we are doing as Berrien County, the Board of Commissioners, and our efforts has caused a lot of the providers to take note, and they're looking at the services that they're providing and how they can meet the needs of what we're demanding here. I know prior to the survey coming out on May 6th, we also had two providers that have been granted what is called RDOF, or Rural Digital Opportunity Funds, through the FCC for doing build out within Berrien County. One is actually doing a fiber optic project, and the other one is doing a combination of fiber optic and fixed wireless. So Midwest Energy and Communication out of Cassopolis, Michigan, is one of the providers who came to speak to the Board of Commissioners on what their project is and what they're proposing as their build out. The other one was Mercury Wireless. And so what we're trying to do with what information we received from the survey is, if you go onto Berrien County's website, we have our GIS department through the Beacon app that you can actually look at parcels. We're hoping to be able to add a layer to that, so we will be able to see specifically not only the survey responses and those homes that are served and unserved, but how we can overlay that with what we're hearing from providers of what services are coming, so we can actually fill in those gaps of those homes who responded that they have no service, that we can then get them some sort of opportunity of service and really move the mark forward for broadband. So we are doing our due diligence and trying to be as proactive as possible. And it's encouraging.
To Jim's point, I guess I'd just like to make a comment that I've had various different internet providers over the years, and the fine print that they give you, I think a lot of times covers them from the standpoint of the speed that they promise you, because that speed may not be available 24/7. It may be available at a little narrow piece of time, and they can claim that you have that speed. Well, you don't have it 24/7, so it may not be convenient when you need it as to when they're actually providing it to you. And I think that's one of the problems also with the system we have in place right now, that legislation could help that, to clarify that, so that we're not all out there trying to figure out what that fine print really says and what we're actually getting for what they say we're getting.
Well, Greg, they promise you up to 200 megabytes a second.
Right.
All right. No, it's not 200, it's up to. And
Right.
you can be, when you're normally sitting there diddling, writing emails, you're running at 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, actually, but if you want to stream something that's coming in at 100 or 120, you can do it if that's what they're selling you, hopefully.
Right.
And I know, Greg, if I can say this, I will say that the FCC has become aware of that, and they have been working on clarifying that definition so that that term up to is now minimum. And so there has been an awareness that has come at the federal and state level of those terms for legislative purposes. But our due diligence is necessary. And certainly, Jim, to your point of doing a speed test, speedtest.org, going through your search engine and being able to test to see how fast your speeds are for that day is a great tool for just the regular consumer. Of course, it's different if you're going through a Wi-Fi box and your Wi-Fi box needs to be updated because it's not meeting some of the technology that we have. But certainly, it's a great starting point for the regular consumer to know where we're at on our speeds and have those conversations.
If we're going to look at it as a utility, I mean, we wouldn't want to pay for 100 gallons of water and only get 20.
No,
that would not settle with us. And so if we're looking at this down the future, trying to build what our county is about and trying to sell it to people wanting to move in here and to build this county, we need this infrastructure up to date. And we need our county commissioners, which I hope they are, and from what you're saying they are, to put some pressure on these companies to say, hey, look it. You tell us that you got 90% covered, but we're finding out that's not the case.
Right.
64% are not covered. What's the deal?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The one comment I was going to add in regards to speedtest.net and all that is that's measuring what's at your computer, and there are a whole lot of things in between what you're reading on your screen and what's coming in at your box, your network adapter, your cable modem, your wireless router, the condition of your wires, the purity of your connections. All of those things can be limiting or adding noise too, and thereby reducing what you're seeing at your screen. So there's a lot of factors.
Yeah, I took that with the installer before it went to anything, right from the cable before it even came in the house.
Yeah.
So we were testing it from the pole, what was there. So it was just interesting to see how much it varies once it gets in there.
Yeah.
So,
Pardon me?
I would say to Greg, I was just wondering if this might be something that we could talk about to adding to the agenda to kind of go over the executive summary, even if it's a 10-minute sort of presentation to kind of get the Planning Commission up to speed, as it seems to be a point of topic that is of great interest.
I think that's a great idea.
I just wanted to comment. I did see the presentation that was given to the commissioners, and I think that we really have a really good team in place, which Terry is heading up. And it was an excellent presentation, and there's a lot of substance there. And I think the county is taking leadership. And I think the idea of making a presentation to the commission is really absolutely a good idea, but I think it's also essential that we do it.
Good. Great.
Very good.
Carry on another subject. I see our staff has been meeting from home instead of the executive building or the administration building lately. Are we regressing or progressing?
We are definitely progressing.
What's the county's plan on going back to normal someday? At least seems to me we're regressing.
Well, I would say that we are definitely eager to get our staff back into the building. The administration building is open to the public, but we are asking that the public make appointments. So our administrator is working closely with all of the different department heads and, bringing in on a rotation those who can come into the admin building to be able to finish those tasks that need to be finished in the admin building. But our plan and our hope is to be open sooner than later. But of course, we're waiting on recommendations from the State Department of Health and Human Services and also from our own emergency operating center and our county health department director to just make certain that we have full confidence that as we do that, everybody is safe and that we're moving forward and not having to take steps back from there.
Oh,
So-
okay. Because I know 2 months ago, our staff was at the building, working at the building, and now they're not.
Part of that is because we've actually improved some of our abilities for technology. And so I do know that Katie and Jennifer and the rest of the staff come in as they need to.
Oh,
But
okay.
we've been able to give them more tools to be able to work from home.
Okay,
And do it effectively.
good. Well, it's worked out fine either way.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks for the
You
question.
bet.
Do we have anything else under miscellaneous? Any other issues anyone would like to bring up?
If I can come back to the date of the City of Coloma's public hearing, I got that date. It's May 24th, 2021 at 7:30. So that's for the City of Coloma to adopt the public hearing for them to adopt their.
They
master
give you a
plan.
place for that too? A meeting place for that?
Of course you would ask. Hold moment. Let's see here. No. Oh, did I? Oh,
Rod might know that, where they meet.
I think it's at City Hall.
At City Hall, well, that's right. When you come into town, it's the third light across from the park.
Okay,
Get to the third light and turn and look to your right and you'll see the City Hall.
okay.
Park.
Here, I'll just read please take notice that the Coloma City Commission, sitting as the Planning Commission, will hold a public hearing during the regular meeting on May 24th at 7:30 at the Coloma City Hall, 119 North Pawpaw Street, Coloma, for the purpose of considering a proposed master plan. They do have it as a Zoom, though. It says Zoom access and passcode. I'll forward this to you all
Okay.
in an email. Oh, and I remember why I lost my train of thought. I remember what my train of thought is on the master plan. So bear with me for a second.
Yay!
And so when we get the proposals completely opened by the by Finance Committee, and it typically after Finance Committee opens them, they refer them back to the department. So once I receive the proposals, I will more than likely either scan them unless they provide them in a digital format for me, and I will email them to you. But due to the size and probably the nature of how large these are, or usually when they have content rich or graphics, which I'm sure they do because that's what consultants will do with a proposal, there'll be a larger file. So it'll be too large for me to email them out of my regular email. And so I was able to connect with our IS department, and they've created a share drive that's a cloud-based internet service. So it's still going to be, it's actually more secure for us to be able to share files, larger files. So that process is a little, it has like a two-step phase to it. So I'll send you, you'll receive an email that says, Katie Montoya has sent you a file, and it'll have a link where you are to click on. And when you click on that link, it'll require you to create a username and password. It's completely different from anything else that you've had. So you'll create a username and password. Please remember that if you forget it, no big deal. You can just request for a new password, or request for, I forgot my password, and the big people, whoever the iCloud gods, will send you a note, or give you a new password. And so when you get into that, then you'll see there'll be a way to retrieve it. And so if anyone has problems with it, please give me a call, send me an email. We can do it via Zoom, or whatever method works best for you for walking through that process. I did it for myself and kind of tried to see like if I uploaded stuff, how would you receive it? And no matter who it's sent to, you have this, there is that 2-step phase where you have a username and password. So you'll be creating a password. And then once you do that, you can access the file. You can then download the file and put it on your own laptop or PC or, wherever you can view it, or you can just view it from that standpoint. So I just wanted to give you that kind of quick heads up. This is coming. I'll send another email prior to me getting them ready to be uploaded, just to kind of walk you through it again. But if you have any questions, please give me a call and I'd be happy. I am not a tech person, and I figured it out. So with the help of our information system staff. So I'm very grateful that they're there and they help me through it. So I know if I can figure it out, I know I can help you through it. So no worries there, but that'll be the method. You'll be able to access the files. So I'll provide those to you for you all to be able to review them. And then we'll go through in a more detailed, breakout and review of the proposals.
Everything's good. Everything is quiet.
Okay, thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Any other issues or final comments?
Can I call you back?
If not, I would propose a motion to adjourn.
All right, do I have a second?
Support.
Second.
All right, take a roll. No, don't take a roll.
Sorry, guys. I was on mute. Foster,
Yes.
Freeling,
Yes.
Havlicek,
Yes.
Hugel,
Yes.
Krieger.
He walked away for a second.
He said yes.
He's there. Thumbs up to adjourn. Okay. Lammert,
Yes.
Lester is absent. Mosier is absent. Schoeneman,
Yes.
Vangenhoven,
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
We have 9 to adjourn at 3:32.
Right.
Hey, Jennifer, for the record, I did say yes to approve the minutes when you could not hear me.
Okay.
Thank you.